We talked about the schedule and the Big Four in the Big Ten this year, and there's a drop-off after that with Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State, and Oregon. There's one team in the Big Ten that doesn't play any of them. That would be Greg Schiano's and Tony Soprano's favorite team, the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. This is by far the easiest schedule in the Big Ten. And they don't play Iowa, who I can listen to an argument between Iowa and USC, who's the fifth best team in the Big Ten entering on. I don't know what your opinion is on that, Paul, but I think that's pretty close. I mean, you talk about two totally different teams, one offensive-oriented and one defensive-oriented, to say the least. Iowa was the butt of a lot of jokes last year, but they won 10 games and had 11th stolen from them on the punt return against Minnesota. But the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, first thing about it, they got the best coach they've ever had in the history of their program, in Greg Schiano. And so kind of a goofy deal with Tennessee where, I mean, Tennessee let the internet, our social media, decide that they didn't want them as their coach. He was not a great fit in the pros, but I tell you what, man, he is a very good college coach, and he knows this job. Yeah, things are changing, but he's got a little help over there. But the schedule is the biggest deal, and they were 6-6 last year, and they started out 6-2. But their depth caught up with them. They lost their last 4 regular season games, and then they beat Miami in the bowl game. The total this year is only 6.5. They have a better team. They have a great schedule. We're talking about one of those teams from the Big Ten East that all of a sudden doesn't have to play those 3 teams or Oregon. So, I mean, it all adds up. This is what my favorite play, and it's kind of down the path. Rutgers doesn't get a whole lot of attention when it comes to the Big Ten, especially this year with all the additions coming in from the Pac-12. But better team, their depth is improved greatly, so their roster's better, their team is better, their coach is another year in the continuity there. I mean, tell me what I'm missing here with Rutgers. So Rutgers avoids the Big Four and Iowa. I've got them over 6.5, minus 125. Now, I'll even lay a little bit more juice at minus 177 because one of their non-conference games, because it's minus 3.5 conference wins and over 6.5 total wins. One trip to Blacksburg, Virginia. And I think, Paul, if you've done Paul has done his homework, obviously. Virginia Tech's pretty good this year. They're not bad. So that game, they may be close to a double-digit underdog in that trip to Blacksburg. So I think it's worth adding. Split your bet, taking out some more juice at minus 177. So Rutgers over 6.5, minus 125. Over 3.5 conference wins, minus 177.
Yeah, I tell you the thing, I like, and you hit it on the nose. I mean, as we've talked about before, the schedule is just, to me, it's the most critical component of handicapping these regular season win totals and these conference win totals. And Rutgers has that certainly in their corner. The one thing I'm concerned about Rutgers is obviously they've been more of a defensive-minded football team than an offensive-minded team. And really the one playmaker they had last year on offense was their quarterback, Gavin Wimsatt. And he was, basically pointed towards the door and told that they were going to a more, dynamic.
Yeah, they're bringing a transfer from Michigan State, yeah.
And their presumptive starter is going to be, I think, the guy from Minnesota.
I'm sorry, Minnesota. Yes, I'm sorry.
Minnesota, yeah, the Greek rifle. I won't try to butcher his last name, but he's. His passing statistics, and I know at Minnesota he didn't have the Ohio State Buckeye receiver room, but his passing statistics are not very good. So I'm concerned about the offensive prowess there for Rutgers. But certainly, it's over or nothing with Rutgers because it's all about that schedule. And like you said, Schiano, a great coach. They've got an above-average defense, and, things are set up well for them. But I think it's going to come down to that quarterback position. They're going to have to get a little bit more production out of the young man who transfers in from Minnesota.
Can't get much less. So that's my thing on that. I mean, they've really just their run-pass ratio was lopsided because they still went 6-6 last year with very little balance in their offensive attack.